Let me start out again by saying good afternoon to everyone and welcome again to the Prince George's Community Federal Credit Union 2018 Lunch and Learn Series. Today's presentation, Financially Fueling College, is in conjunction with Empower with Words, LLC. Now, as the premier credit union of Prince George's County, our mission is to provide quality financial education to the community, as well as provide financial insight into credit management, home ownership, and money management. Our Lunch and Learn series runs the second Tuesday of every month. However, today's session is the last for 2018. Prince George's Community Federal Credit Union is a full-service financial institution serving anyone who lives, works, worships, or volunteers in Prince George's County, Maryland. We're one of the county's best-kept secrets with competitive loan and savings rates, as well as discount to national retailers. We currently serve over 16,000 members in the area and welcome you to come and experience the benefits of membership as well. Now, it's not too late to invite your friends and colleagues to join today's seminar. You should have received an email about 30 minutes ago, and in that email there's a link that you could pass along to them. Also, if you follow any of our social media platforms, please feel free to comment about the Lunch and Learn series using hashtag Lunch and Learn. Please note that today's webinar is live and all phone lines have been muted. If you have any questions, just feel free to type in the question box on the right-hand side of the menu bar, and all questions will be addressed at the end of our discussion. Now, also as part of this program, we're also offering a 60-minute free financial coaching session, and more information will be given at the end of today's presentation. Lastly, today's session is recorded and it will be available later on this week. Details will be sent to your email following the presentation. And with that, we're going to introduce our presenter for today. Her name is Chantel Knock. Chantel?
Yes.
Okay. Chantel is with Empower with Words, LLC, and she is a Northern Virginia professional consulting company that provides students and their guardians with the clarity and tools needed to successfully navigate the college and career process. She provides strategies throughout individual coaching, targeting students, their goals, time management, essay writing, scholarship searching, and financial awareness. She has over 10 years of experience in college preparation, and she has overcome poverty in a rural area, which has propelled her in her academics. This determination resulted in being a Bill Gates Millennium Scholarship recipient, and throughout the scholarship, she has been afforded the opportunity to receive both a bachelor's and master's degree. In 2007, she began pursuing her true passion of helping students identify their true identity and purpose. And now she established a 3-part college and career boot camp program, and she successfully provides individual coaching to students and their guardians to attend and pay for college. She has received her degree in Health and Human Services at Old Dominion University, and later on received her master's in Public Health from the University of England. Chantel is an international public speaker and president of the Thomas Jefferson Toastmasters Club in Woodbridge, Virginia, and she's also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc., and an active servant in her church where she led a mentoring group for middle and high school students. And with that, we're going to turn today's presentation over to Chantel. How are you doing, Chantel?
I'm well. Thank you, Charmaine. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate in this Lunch and Learn.
Great. Great. Well, we are going to get the presentation started here and turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all for joining the webinar. You could be doing anything, but you decided to join the webinar. I know most of the time when individuals, they're on their lunch break, they typically take a nap or they are browsing through social media, but I'm so grateful that you all decided to jump on the webinar and just learn about how you can help yourself as well as maybe family or friends or even your children with preparing for college. So what I'm going to provide with you, I'm going to provide a 3-step process. That's right, it's very simple, a 3-step process of how I started my college journey and how I prepared for college. So we're going to get right into it. Next. What I'm going to go over is why it's important to plan for college, when to start, and how to start. I'm going to just give you a simple process. That's right, very simple. Easy planning options. I'm sure we have all heard of the saying, easy as 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to share with you how I successfully planned at the last minute. Next. So as Charmaine said, I'm not going to go over this because she briefly already explained this, but just a little bit about myself. But here, as you can see, you can put a picture or face with the voice. That's me, Chantel. But I'm going to go and just briefly tell you about my journey. Next. So where did it all begin? I grew up on the Eastern Shore of Virginia, very, very rural area. Not a lot of economic opportunities. I grew up in a single-parent home. And to be honest with you, I just estimated that my mom made about $15,000. And it could have been lower than that, but I know that we didn't have a lot of resources. So my particular outlet was my academics. That was just how I was going to raise above poverty level. And growing up in a rural area, you didn't have a lot of options. I would say you didn't have a lot of career options. The major job back where I grew up was a chicken farm. So what I did, I focused my time and my energy and my efforts and my academics, and I became an honor student all through middle school, high school, and I was self-motivated. I was self-determined. I didn't need someone to tell me, go pick up a book or, hey, let's do this application. I didn't necessarily need that motivation because I found it within myself. Next. I was the first generational four-year college graduate. And through that process, I knew that I wanted to be successful. But just like anything else, I didn't have a plan. I knew that there was a deep desire to rise above poverty, but realistically, I didn't have a plan and I didn't have any money. And like we all may have a dream and we all may have a vision for ourselves. But if you don't have a plan or a strategy behind it, it just remains a dream. So I kind of felt myself, especially I would say my junior year of high school, I kind of felt the pressure of reality setting in because even though that was a deep desire of attending a four-year university, that was my goal, I still didn't have a plan or the money. But let me share with you about what I did, my three-step process about what I did to successfully occur over $80,000 worth of scholarships. Next. So what I did was I practically lived in the guidance counselor's office. They knew me by name. I asked questions. I took the initiative. I was the one who would go into the guidance counselor's office at least 3 or 4 times a week just to get options about what I can do for college and scholarships. In my junior year of high school, I applied to at least 2 to 3 scholarships a week. And I was seeking the guidance from my public speaking coach, and I was a part of a team called Forensics, which is a competitive public speaking club. I sought the guidance of her to assist me with essays, to make sure they're professional. And through that, I was able to occur over $80,000 at the end of my senior year, including the Bill Gates Millennium Scholarship. So again, that was a true blessing for me, and that was my personal experience and process that I'm going to share with you. Next. So why is it important to plan early? Sometimes I've heard the saying, I work better under pressure. I hear that all the time, but planning is so important whatever you do. And planning, it helps you alleviate stress, especially through the college process. And sometimes, I've definitely worked with many parents and students where, they really didn't plan early. And they didn't understand the importance of having enough saved to pay for the college tuition, as well as the application fees and testing fees that comes along with preparing for college. So those are things that, you know, we want to make sure we are preparing early on. And also it helps reduce the amount of federal and private loan. I'll share with you this after doing some research. The Department of Education has an average of student loan debt for $40,000 per student. Now that's just average. Now, no one wants to be in debt, but this is statistics here in 2018 actually, that the average debt is $40,000 per student. So this is why it's so important that we want to make sure we're planning early, so then that we are alleviating the stress as well as debt, the student loans. Next. So our easy planning steps. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you, as if you're a parent or if you are a student, to seek the guidance of a guidance counselor, school guidance counselor, or education coach. If you have the extra funds, find an outside education coach. Also, understanding scholarship identifications, and I will expand upon that on our later slides, and also applying for as many scholarships as you possibly can. A lot of times, a lot of people do not realize the resources that are out there, but they are out there as long as you understand what you're looking for and as long as you understand how to pursue them, how to apply for them. Next. So how do we start? Simple. So we go and we ask questions. That's the most important thing. We set up meetings with our school counselors. We ask questions such as, you know, what are your students' current GPA? I've worked with one student who was a junior, and, you know, unfortunately, she didn't even know her GPA, her current GPA. So those are questions that you want to know. What is the current GPA of the student? If you have a GPA that is below a 2.0 or lower, how do you improve the GPA? How do you identify your child's career interests? Also, how and where to find scholarships or grants. Those are different types of questions that you want to begin to ask your school counselor or education coach. Next. Scholarship identifications. Oftentimes when I worked with some parents and students, you know, a lot of them say that they don't know where to begin or what type of scholarships, and sometimes this process can be extremely overwhelming. So when you want to look for different type of financial resources, understanding the types, understanding the regions and various nonprofit organizations, and what I can do is I'm just going to briefly just touch on each point. Different types of scholarship identifications. They could be financial need-based, and I previously stated that with my background, we didn't have a lot of funds, so a lot of my scholarships that I found was based upon the financial need of my household. Also, you can find scholarships based upon merit. You know, these are students who have demonstrated excelling in academics, honor roll. Also career-based, those who are interested in a particular career interest. There are a lot of scholarships for students who are interested in STEMs or criminal justice. There's so many different types. Also personal identifiers. Those students who may be struggling with a disability, a learning disability, or mental disability. Also, scholarships based upon a specific ethnicity. There's so many different types of scholarships, and what you can do is basically find those that you best identify with. Also, different regions. There are scholarships that are targeted to different or specific counties or states, as well as those who work in the federal government. If you work within a specific department, you can find scholarships based upon different regions. Also, nonprofit organizations. I am also part of a fraternity, a part of a sorority. You can find scholarships on that sororities and fraternities give out, different religious groups. There are tons of churches and religious organizations that hand out scholarships. Also, the Boys and Girls Club and Catholic charities. There are tons and tons of different nonprofit organizations within your area that offer scholarships. Also, school-specific. Those students who may be interested in athletic scholarships or may have a specific club or activity that they're interested in. Again, there are tons and tons of different scholarship identifications that a student and their parent can apply for. I think the most important thing is understanding where you fall in, what category you fall in, and then honestly just taking that step and applying for them. And that's what we're going to expand upon further in how to apply for them. Next. So our first step, how do we apply? Once we identify the types of scholarships that are best suited for our students, how do we apply for them? We compile our data. One of the things that I tell students that I work with is to get organized, because these are information that you're going to use on a consistent basis. How to compile your data. Make sure you have a file. Google Drive is a good source. Having a file where you have all of your files compiled in one location. This is the student's personal information. You know that when you are going through the college process, you're going to be using this information continuously. The parent's personal information, W-2 forms when you're applying for FAFSA. I know that some scholarships require the parent's W-2 forms. So those are things that you want to make sure that you keep in a file, transcripts. Also a resume where you outline the student's activities, you outline the student's community service and leadership experience. Those are things that you want to make sure that you keep handy, because when you're applying for these financial resources, they're going to ask you for this information. So you want to make sure that it's easily accessible. Also, the second step, when you're applying for scholarships or financial resources, many of these readers, they want to make sure that their money is going to a good source. So a lot of the readers, they want heartfelt essays. They want emotion-provoking essays. They want professional essays. So when you are developing these essays, we want to make sure that we are touching the emotions of the readers. We want to make sure that they are professional essays. Also, when you're going through the process of applying, you want to make sure that you are identifying your recommenders. And your recommenders can be those people who can attest to your leadership experience, to your community service experience, as well as your academics. These individuals can be teachers, mentors, community leaders or religious leaders, or even your guidance counselors. It could be anyone that can attest to your experience. So you want to make sure that you are making the great connections with different individuals, so then that way they can provide those recommendations to those scholarship committees. That's what you want to do. Next. So again, last-minute planning. I will tell you this. I did not start planning for college until my junior year. I didn't, like many other students and parents, I didn't know the process. I didn't have a process. I didn't have the money to prepare. I didn't have I would say a savings account. But one of the things that I did, and I'll tell you this, one of the things that I did, I sought the help from a guidance counselor. And she's the one who gave me pointers or tips on how to find specific financial needs scholarships. And once I began to seek out those scholarships that best suited me, I came up with a plan. And just like anything else, you have to have a plan and you have to implement it. And you have to have a strategy. My strategy was, once I began to know what to do, I began to apply for scholarships 2 to 3 times a week on top of managing academics. I began to apply because I understood where I was. I just understood that I didn't have a lot of resources, but I understood where I needed to be. So I had to come up with a strategy, and that's one of the things that I want to encourage a lot of parents and students. If you are at that point of last-minute planning, come up with a plan and implement it and come up with a strategy to find those financial resources. You know, I tell parents all the time, it helps you alleviate stress. We don't want you to get to your senior year of high school and, you know, now you're trying to figure out how your child is going to go to college, how you're going to pay for college. You know, we want to make sure that we are alleviating stress, and we want to make sure that your student and that your child is getting the best education as much as possible, and ensuring that, you know, they're not going to school worrying about how they're going to pay for student loans, and, you know, by the time they get out of school, they are already consumed with student loan debt. So we want to make sure that we are creating a plan, that we are coming up with a strategy and how to apply for financial resources. And again, you know, a lot of times people don't know, but I am here to help. And if you have any questions, again, my contact number, next, and I'll share with you my contact number. If you have any specific questions, you can email me at empowerwithwordsllc@gmail.com, or you can visit my website at www.empowerwithwords.com. Also, I can be reached by phone, and I am also on social media, Facebook and Instagram. So I can be reached at various sources. So if you have any specific questions for a student or for parents, I assist with parent training as well as with individual coaching. And at this time, if you would like to leave any questions, you can please submit your questions and I can answer it to the best of my ability. But thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for joining in this webinar. And at this time, if you have any questions, please feel free to provide out your questions. Thank you.
Actually, Chantel, we do have one question. It's concerning, it's not a scholarship per se. The person saying it's not a scholarship per se, but her job offers a program that will give funds towards college based off of how much insurance she purchases throughout the year. Have you heard of something as such?
I'm not familiar with that. It's based upon the insurance. What type of insurance is this?
I'm going to assume that this is whether it's dental insurance they may have with a company, or health insurance that they may have with a company. I'm going to assume that's where that's tied to. Maybe that's a specific program that she has with her company per se. But I think the point here is that definitely when you say, Chantel, that it's also good to check with your employer and lift up the hood and see what other opportunities that may be there through your employer that you may not aware of through possible vendor partnerships and so forth. Wouldn't you say that?
Absolutely. I would definitely say talk to your human resource providers of your company and see what they offer. Again, like you said, there's so many companies that are in partnership with one another, and I mean, there's so much that employers offer, but a lot of times, you know, it's unknown. So I would definitely say make sure you are asking questions to see what type of opportunities they have for students.
Okay. Also, we do have another question concerning the FAFSA. When does the FAFSA process begin?
The FAFSA process begins, it opens October the 1st at the senior year of the student. So if the student is a senior, and I'm just going to use this as an example, if the student is graduating in 2019, the FAFSA opened October the 1st. So it opens October the 1st up until March the 1st of the following year.
Okay. And I guess, Chantel, just to add to that as well, too, I think the sooner the better.
Absolutely. Yes.
Just filling that information out. All right, we have another question here that has to deal with college students now. This one says that my child is currently a freshman in college. What opportunities would be available to her at this point?
There are also a lot of different organizations, and I don't know off the top of my head, but there are different organizations that offer current college students scholarships. So even if they are in college, they are a lot of resources that they can apply for. I will also recommend having the students to look for fellowships. Even in college, students can be offered fellowships, whether it's in a particular career field, where if they work for a few months, they a certain portion of their tuition is paid for. So I will also take advantage of fellowships within a specific career field, as well as work study, student work study. Those are other options that a student can have when it comes to making sure that their tuition is taken care of.
Okay, great. Great. That's all the questions that we have here for right now. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up and say thank you for attending today's educational webinar, everyone. We'd like to definitely thank our presenter today, Chantel Knock, for her insight into the whole college preparation process and helping to financially fuel that process. To learn more about Prince George's Community Federal Credit Union or to speak to a member service representative about any of your college needs, whether it be for financial planning for college, looking at student loans and so forth, we ask you to visit our website at www.princegeorgescfcu.org or give us a call at 800-952-7428. Now, also, we have partnered with another organization named Coffee to provide financial coaching to our members. As a part of attending today's webinar, you will receive a 60-minute free financial coaching session. And if you'd like to partake in that, you can give us a call at 866-459-5165. And if you have enjoyed today's webinar, please be sure to visit our website at the beginning of next year to see a list of topics for 2019. Again, Chantel, I'd like to thank you once again for presenting and everyone for joining today's webinar. Have a wonderful day.
All right, have a good one. Thank you.
You too. All right, goodbye.